Yo, yo, yo. I was probably 10 or 11, and I went to my I think my mom's mom. Would that be maybe my grandma? And she had like a PS2 and a bunch of games. She had Midnight Club. I think it was like the first or the second one. They had I think an old Tetris game, and they had SmackDown versus Raw, the very first one. This was 2010, 2011. I don't think it was really much out. That was like my first introduction to wrestling games. But what let me just okay, we're ready to go. Sorry, I had to set things up on my end, but let's go. Whatever, fine. You can't get that. I'll get though. I'm alright with it. I'm gonna go monetize these videos. I think it's like maybe two. Damn.
Have we met?
Nathan Bratt, I'm the new English teacher.
You live near here?
Yeah. The old Biddle House.
The Biddle House.
I did hear the horrible story about the boy who used to live there.
You know, I hear it's haunted. Have you seen anything strange happening there?
Don't get rid of that happen, but they didn't block it, but they was like limited sponsorship for the wrestling game we did yesterday, 823 Revolution episode. I think it. I vaguely remember this game. I think I remember
I've covered
SmackDown
all
versus
the
Raw.
original SmackDown games
2006.
from SmackDown
Be-
1 all
better
the way
than I
to Here
remembered
Comes
it.
the Pain. It's now time to check out the SmackDown vs.
I
Raw
played that Here
series.
Comes the Pain on
2004 saw the release of the first
GameCube
SmackDown vs. Raw
back
game.
in
The brand split in
2012
WWE was in full swing when this one got released, with both SmackDown and Raw
or
having
11.
their own unique
I don't know, I
identities
played a
and
lot of
cornerstone performers.
wrestling games
With the game
2011,
series going through a
2012.
big rebrand of
Including
its own, you'd hope
WWE
a lot
12.
of new features
So,
and updates were added, but let's see if that was the case, and let's see how
it
the
was a
game
nice
holds
game. I
up
played it
today.
on Wii though, so I
Remember,
don't know
this
if I
one
got the
got
best
released
game.
after Here Comes the Pain, so expectations were pretty high. Publisher THQ was very tight-lipped when it came to details about SmackDown 6. Rumours quickly spread that the new game was getting named after John Cena, and the title SmackDown Word Life spread around the internet like wildfire. IGN reached out to THQ for confirmation, and while a representative said that the latest SmackDown game would not feature a title based around John Cena, the game would be moving in a new direction in terms of its actual name. Just before E3 2004, the name SmackDown vs. Raw was announced, along with more WWE games coming to different consoles, the ill-fated WrestleMania 21 on Xbox and Survivor Series for the Game Boy Advance. Online play was a big request for the latest SmackDown game, and Ukes delivered on that front. SmackDown vs. Raw is the first WWE game that supported online play on PS2, but all other news about the game remained under wraps, with only little tidbits getting shared up until release day. THQ product manager David Knudsen said the updated graphics will blow players away in an interview that he gave back in June 2004, and he also said that a heavier focus was going on overall presentation and interaction. David Devin said, "There are two main areas that we are striving to improve this year with SmackDown vs. Raw. An overall improvement of presentation to the player was the first area we chose to tackle. A fan should feel that they're watching actual WWE programming, and all aspects of the game should focus on accomplishing this goal. The graphics of the game, the audio elements, and all of the superstars' mannerisms and personalities should provide the player with a suspension of disbelief. The second element is user interaction. A fan should feel as though they have control over all aspects of the game. There shouldn't be moments where the player feels helpless and is just waiting on an animation playing out. We want the player to feel like he's part of the action unfolding on the screen." Keep that last sentence in mind, as this newly added interactivity ended up getting mixed feedback. Devin also stated that wrestler models, including creator-wrestler models, were getting a polygon boost, and he reiterated that this new game will be the best-looking SmackDown game ever released. So let's take a look for ourselves.
Yeah, how is it the best? But it's the first game they released. Looks great.
The opening video for SmackDown vs. Raw talks about the history of the games and how it's time for a new generation. It does make you believe that this is going to be a brand new experience, and gotta say, the opening video is pretty well put together, all accompanied by Powerman 5000's Last Night on Earth. You get to select your favorite brand at the beginning of the game, and depending on your selection, you can get a SmackDown themed menu or a Raw themed menu. The first thing you notice is the music. Powerman 5000's When Worlds Collide plays on the main menu, and the soundtrack here is very nostalgic. Most of the music here was already featured in Day of Reckoning for the GameCube, but you've got Bring the Noise by Anthrax and Public Enemy, Firefly by Breaking Benjamin, my personal favourite, Alone by Zebrahead. The menu music brings you right back to this era, and it will put a smile on your face, especially if you haven't played these games in a long time.
I don't recognize any
roster, and it's not great, honestly. Legends are available in the game, such as Bret Hart and Roddy Piper, but generally speaking, the roster isn't particularly deep. Guys not included in last year's game include Garrison Cade, Mark Jindrak, Chuck Palumbo, and Rene Dupree. But in total,
I don't know any of them.
We've only got 51 playable characters here compared to 65 in last year's game. Granted, more detailed character models could lead to a smaller roster, but as a whole, the available roster's nothing to write home about at all. Superstars
I think the roster was pretty great.
Development included Rikishi, Brock Lesnar, and Davey Boy Smith. The Davey Boy Smith model actually looked pretty good, and he can be hacked back into the game if you're so inclined to do so. The reason for his removal, however, was a disagreement on licensing fees between the Bulldogs estate and THQ. Create an Animation was also removed from the game, but in its place we have Create a Championship and Create a Pay-Per-View. These modes can be found in the new Pay-Per-View mode, where you can play sample pay-per-views from earlier in the year or create your own. Honestly, I prefer this over Create an Animation, but neither mode's anything I'd really bother with. Another new mode is the Challenge mode found in the Shop Zone section. This extended your single-player experience significantly by giving you a ton of challenges to complete, such as stealing a set amount of finishers, winning within a certain time frame, or performing certain moves. This was awesome, by the way, and I welcome anything that extends the single-player experience in a manner that deviates away from the usual season mode. Unfortunately, we have no new match types in SmackDown vs. Raw, but we have the same giant varied selection that was found in the previous game. So, no complaints here. There's a lot of matches to play and a lot of stipulations to select, so yeah, it's all good. Just one thing though, it looks like a lot of the backstage areas are now gone, and we've only got two to choose from. A parking lot for parking lot brawls, and a single wide open backstage area for hardcore matches. We've then got the usual season mode.
I don't really hear much about SmackDown,
but we'll look at these a bit more later on.
The first game, of course.
As you can hopefully see here in British entrance, the character models have indeed been given a significant
upgrade. His hair
upgrade.
looks great, man.
This upgrade doesn't bode well for everyone, of course. The WWE games have a way of making certain wrestlers look excellent, while others still look bad. But SmackDown vs. Raw is a better looking game than Here Comes the Pain in terms of character models, shadows, lighting, and all that good stuff. Even the ring itself looks better. Remember, THQ talked about wanting more user interaction? This is what they meant right here. These mini-games at the beginning of matches, stare-downs, pushing contests, things like that. Many people didn't care for these pre-match mini-games, and I'm one of those people. It's a bit annoying having to start matches like this after a while.
Just go into the ring and push my opponent around.
By the player during matchups. There's a chop battle for the men and a spanking mini-game for women in bra and panties matches. I don't really care for these at all, and they work wonders in slowing the pace of the match right down to a halt. To be fair too, these only happen in singles matches and brand panties matches. Not a big deal when playing exhibitions, but a bit cumbersome in career mode. Speaking of
Career
slowing
mode.
things down,
Damn, they had
SmackDown
career
vs.
mode in
Raw
the
plays
first
at a reduced speed when compared to Here
SmackDown
Comes the
vs.
Pain.
Raw.
It's
That's
not a
what's up.
giant speed reduction, but it's
I thought it
definitely
came in
there.
at
Some prefer this,
2007.
others don't, but the developer and publisher wanted to create a more authentic
Yeah, that was my
wrestling
move going
experience,
into
and this means that the
2K
arcadey, fast-paced style of the previous game has
2007
been
SmackDown
toned down
vs.
a
Raw.
bit. We still have the
I just
excellent
be hitting
grapple
with
system
the
that was
boom,
implemented
then
in
get
Here
back
Comes the
up.
Pain, so
I don't
you've
want
got a wide range of
kept
moves
going.
along with some good
It would
set
lower my
maneuvers
score
that
because
let
I
you
was doing the
create
same
nice
move, but
strings and
still.
combos, but it doesn't feel quite as satisfying to pull these off when the
I
speed's
feel
been
like
turned down a bit.
I don't
The
know if
more
it was
frantic
this
nature
game
of Here Comes the
or
Pain
another
made pulling
game,
off
but
move
they was like
strings and
doing
setups a
everybody's
bit more
finisher.
fun,
Like
in my
you see
opinion
Big Show
anyway.
doing
There's something
sweet
about
chin
connecting
music.
with moves and Here Comes the Pain that
See
felt way
Shawn
more
Michaels doing
satisfying. The moves felt like they
pedigree.
had weight, even though everything flowed so smoothly and lightly in that previous game. You can see that they wanted to make things more lifelike here, but it comes at the cost of some of the little things that made Here Comes the Pain so fun. For further authenticity, we now have a standard hard camera view which cannot be changed, and I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of this either. Previously, it felt like the arenas we wrestled in had more identity because you could see the stage as you wrestled.
I
This
might
time
try to
you've got
change
the
my
pleasure of
camera on
looking at the
Xbox
audience
3.
with some of the faces in
See if I
particular
can do
looking
that.
creepy as hell. Why they didn't give the option to switch the default camera around, I don't know. Don't get me wrong either, from bell to bell, SmackDown vs. Raw is still a very fun game, and I'm sure many preferred this one over the last game. For all its little flaws, this one marked the beginning of Yuke's wanting to make WWE games that looked and played like what fans would see on TV every week. But you will feel the difference when playing the game, and it's up
that's
to
a
you
nice
if you think
attire
it's
for
good
Edge.
or bad. Personally, I prefer the previous game, but that's just me.
Nothing
We
too
also
crazy,
have
but
a new
still
bar for
nice.
clean and dirty moves. During the character select, you can choose if your wrestler is a babyface or a heel, and doing heel or babyface actions during the match will fill this bar up. A heel can pull off some dastardly attacks after filling up his bar, such as a low
You don't get
blow,
disqualified
while a
for that?
babyface will be invincible for a while and have his or her stats boosted. It's a nice touch, and it does add a little variety. Again,
noticed
some
that.
thought it was
I think they did
unnecessary,
that
but
all the
I
way
think it's
until
okay. It's not like you need to
maybe 2009.
focus on these meters all that much anyway, and honestly, I forgot they were there half the
I had
time.
the game, but
Another
I was done playing about the time I found out that we had.
new addition
I had
that's a bit more
SmackDown
lifelike
vs.
is the
Raw.
ability to hold on to
2008.
submission holds while your opponent reaches the bottom rope. You've got until 5 to break the move, or you'll get disqualified. And really, that's it in terms of gameplay. The mini games were something I couldn't have cared less for. The game speed getting brought down was also a negative in my opinion. The
Yeah, this video keep glitching.
clean and
Is
dirty
it me
meters
or is
along
it
with the
him?
submission breaks were fine, and there's not much more to say from a gameplay perspective. It doesn't feel like a new generation of SmackDown games as stated in the opening video, but it also doesn't
They
feel
just
like
moving
a
into the
downgrade
middle of the
either.
ring?
It's kind of weird. I remember enjoying this game when it came out, but in hindsight, when switching back and forth between this and Here Comes the Pain, you can definitely feel
Yo,
the
something
difference.
is going on. My brightness keep going down. Maybe I need to charge my computer up. I don't know.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Alright, let's get back to the video.
The Creator Wrestler mode has been completely overhauled this year, and fans of this mode had a new streamlined menu system to work with. SmackDown vs. Raw presents sub-menus for each section of the body from top to bottom, allowing players to fine-tune all aspects of their wrestler in a much more organized manner.
Hell yeah.
Load times were improved for clothing items and accessories while previewing your character, so this would have been a very welcome update. And you can just see that the Creator Wrestler mode looks a lot more refined in comparison to last year's effort. Here's a look at some characters that were uploaded to Game FAQs. This is what other people came up with.
AEW got that Nintendo Creation Suite, I swear. Double A. Oh, I need this thing. Are these created? Yeah, this seems like created stuff. Is that Blade?
We also have Create a Stable returning from last year, and of course, Create a Movesets
You should
here,
create the
allowing you to
bloodline.
edit both the WWE roster's
You probably
movesets
have to
along with
create
your
those
created wrestlers'
characters, but
movesets.
I'm
You
sure
can
you
waste
can do
time
it.
just looking at the animations here and just seeing the ridiculous amount of moves that have been crammed into the game.
They keep asking me my experience and interruption.
Right, season mode.
Like, hell
Unfortunately,
yeah,
Big
hell
Papa
yeah.
Pump isn't here this year, so
Why
we
you
gotta
doing
go
that?
with someone else. Let's go for a big main eventer this time who currently doesn't hold the championship. The Undertaker, yeah. Taker's a good choice because we're sure to get thrown into weird storylines that, in real life, The Undertaker would never take part in. We have no draft at the beginning of season mode this year, so we're dealing with 2 preset Raw and SmackDown rosters. No big deal because I
Can't
play
you
with
just
default
edit
brands
them?
anyway. Here's the locker room, and the menu's a little different this year.
No,
You
yeah,
can check
in the
out the
game,
current
can't
champions,
you
get
select
notices
who
from
you
the
want on
boss,
what roster?
visit the shop zone, change your stats, save your game, and turn captions on and off. When we begin a show, there are no options in regards to visiting different areas of the arena or talking to other wrestlers before the show kicks off, so that's a bit of a bummer. Vince McMahon's granting me a title shot right away, but I'm going to decline. I don't want to be champion just yet. I want to see what's going on in the mid-card. The first cutscene begins to play, and this is pretty awesome. The guys and girls provided voiceovers for season mode.
Well, maybe if you'd stop distracting me while I'm in that ring, I wouldn't be losing so much.
No, I don't like this.
Distracting you? Then maybe I should just stop coming out to the ring if I'm such a distraction.
Unfortunately, the character that you select won't have much to say, seeing as this would mean every wrestler in the game would have to read thousands more lines, and we all know that time is money, but this is fine. Also, do keep in mind that some voiceovers aren't as good as others, but you gotta remember
that
too,
one wasn't
wrestlers
good.
aren't voice actors.
What y'all talking
Some
about?
performances here are better than others. Anyway, Renee Dupree and Tori Wilson are having some issues backstage, and our main man says Tori's gonna offer her services to the dead man whether she wants to or not.
Whether he wants to or not.
Dupree tells Undertaker to keep his dirty hands to himself, and the Phenom goes to the ring for a match against RVD. When he gets back, Tori says she likes what she saw, and the dead man was super serious about making Tori his new manager. Within 1 week, we've already gone completely off the rails, and I'm here for it. Dupree isn't happy, of course, but it's not the Undertaker's fault that he's such a stud muffin. Back in the locker room, you quickly realise there isn't much to do. I can boost the Undertaker's stats up with all these leftover points from previous playthroughs, but apart from that, there's nothing to do here really. THQ got some negative feedback about the previous career mode, stating that some fans thought there was too much bloat with the backstage conversations and whatnot, but I do miss the silliness of those little run-ins with other superstars, and I do wish there was a bit more to season mode. Anyway,
What's
let's
up with
continue
that?
our story. I've got myself a match against John Cena. I beat the Doctor of Thugonomics, but backstage, Tori's having a bad time with Renee. Dupree wants Tori to stay backstage and look after Fifi, and Tori looks at Dupree like this right here. It looks like she's gonna eat Fifi. Dupree does the JOB to RVD, so yeah, great plan. The Undertaker then turns into a complete pervo. He checks Dupree's bird while she's in the shower, and he's all like, it's okay, Renee doesn't need to know. This is fucked. Undertaker gets caught, and Dupree says he's gonna beat up the Prince of Pervs next week in the middle of the ring. And to be fair, the Undertaker deserved it. So the following week, Tori
That
says
man
she
can't
wants to
beat
bring
the
Dupree
Undertaker.
down to the ring. She says she wants to get down and dirty with the French tickler. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, Renee's getting screwed tonight in more ways
keep
than
showing
one, my
this girl in a
friends.
bikini,
so
bro. What's
the big
up with
match
this?
takes place on SmackDown. Dupree gets tombstone straight to hell, but the pervo dirtbag Taker, he isn't satisfied. He wants a last man standing match at Judgment Day for Tori Wilson's contract. I guess Renee agrees. I mean, he has no choice, does he? And here we go, the biggest mid-card match in pay-per-view history, The Undertaker versus Renee Dupree for the managerial services
Renee
of Tori
Dupree.
Wilson.
Maxine
what an
Dupree.
authentic WWE
Max
experience
Dupree.
this truly is.
Okay,
Kurt
I get
Angle
it.
makes sure Renee understands what's at stake in this match, and Renee says
Kurt
he's
Angle, the
super
manager.
confident tonight and he's gonna beat the Undertaker. Well, he didn't. He got his ass kicked, and the big dirty Undertaker steals a kiss from Tori afterwards. This is a bit uncomfortable. I thought Tori was into the Undertaker, but no. Look at this guy walking back up the aisle with his new woman. So there we go. Against their will, we can now add Tori as our manager. in
Tori,
all
you better
future
act right.
matches. Brilliant.
What if my coverage isn't right? What if I accidentally hit a food truck? What if it gets covered in empanadas? I had to stay farm.
You know, we're going in there. He's This was cool. This was nice.